Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the starship Defiance, watching the massive space station grow larger on the view screen. Haven Prime was bigger than Earth's moon, a gleaming metal city floating in the darkness between stars. After 3 months of travel, humanity's first diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council was finally arriving. "It's beautiful," said Dr. Lisa Park, the team's xenobiologist. She pressed her face against the window, watching alien ships move around the station like colorful fish in a cosmic ocean. "It's also heavily armed," Colonel Tom Hayes added, checking his scanner readings. "Those aren't just decorative lights on the outer ring. Those are weapon platforms." Red nodded, but kept his expression calm. Earth's leaders had prepared him for this moment. After humanity developed faster-than-light travel 2 years ago, first contact with the galaxy had been inevitable. The Galactic Council had sent a message to Earth, inviting them to Haven Prime for what they called a welcome ceremony. But Reed suspected there was more to it than that. As the Defiance docked, Reed studied the alien ships around them. Some looked like living creatures made of metal and light. Others were geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. Each design was completely different, representing the 12 species that made up the Galactic Council. An escort of council guards met them at the airlock. The guards were tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and no visible eyes. They moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared one mind. "Follow us," one guard said in perfect English. "The council awaits." The corridors of Haven Prime were wide and tall, built to accommodate species of many different sizes. Reed's team passed alien beings that defied description. Some floated in bubbles of gas, others moved on dozens of tiny legs. A few seemed to be made of living crystal that chimed softly as they walked. The council chamber was a vast circular room with 12 raised platforms arranged in a circle. On each platform sat a representative of a different species. At the center of the room, a holographic display showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. "Welcome, humans," said a deep, rumbling voice. The speaker was a massive reptilian creature with golden scales and intelligent yellow eyes. "I am Chancellor Vorth of the Drakmari. Speak for the council today." Reed stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you for having us, Chancellor. I'm Captain Marcus Reed, representing Earth and humanity." "Yes," Vorth said, his voice growing. "Colder. Humanity. The anomaly." Another council member spoke up. This one looked like a living crystal formation that pulsed with inner light. "I am High Arbiter Quell of the Althan. We have studied your species carefully, Captain Reed. You are unique in this galaxy." "In what way?" Dr. Park asked, unable to contain her curiosity. Quell's crystal form flickered. "Every species in the council evolved on worlds with multiple, intelligent races. We learned cooperation, compromise, and peaceful coexistence because we had to. But humans evolved alone on Earth. You have no natural instinct for sharing power or resources." "That's not true," Reed protested. "Humanity has. Many nations and cultures, we've learned to work together." "After how many wars?" "Our records show that in the past century alone, humans have fought to global conflicts that killed millions. You have weapons capable of destroying your entire planet. No council species has ever developed such things." A third voice joined the conversation. This one was softer, almost musical. The speaker appeared to be made of flowing energy contained in a roughly humanoid shape. "I am Speaker 9 of the Etherians. We do not wish to judge humanity harshly, but the facts are concerning. In the 2 years since you achieved faster-than-light travel, you have built more warships than most species build in a century." Colonel Hayes stepped forward. "Those ships are for defense. We don't know what's out here in the galaxy." "Exactly our point," Vorth said, rising from his platform. "You assume conflict, you prepare for war. This is why the council must act," Reed felt. His heart sank. This wasn't a welcome ceremony at all. It was a trial, and humanity was the defendant. "The council has debated for months," Quell announced. "We have 3 options for dealing with the human threat." "Threat?" Reed's voice rose despite his efforts to stay calm. "We came here in peace. We're explorers, scientists, diplomats. Also soldiers, Vorth replied. Every human ship carries weapons. Every human colony has defensive systems. Even your diplomatic vessel has military escort capability. Dr. Park looked confused. Of course we have defenses. Any intelligent species would protect itself. No, Speaker 9 said sadly. Most species develop space travel for exploration and trade. Humans developed it for expansion and conquest. Arbiter Quell's crystal form pulsed brighter. The Council offers humanity 3 choices. First, you may submit to genetic modification. We will remove the aggressive instincts that make you dangerous. We will become peaceful, like the other Council species. Reed felt sick. You want to? Change what makes us human. Second option, Vorth continued, accept permanent quarantine. Humanity will remain in the Sol system forever. You may develop your own worlds, but you may never leave your home system again. That's imprisonment, Colonel Hayes said angrily. Third option, Quell said with finality. If you refuse both choices, the Council will act to protect the galaxy. The combined fleets of 12 species will ensure humanity can never threaten galactic peace. The chamber fell silent. Reed looked at his team, seeing his own shock reflected in their faces. They had come seeking friendship and found only fear and ultimatums. How long do we have to decide? Reed asked quietly. 30 standard days, Vorth replied. Turn to Earth. Consult with your leaders. But understand this, Captain Reed. The vote has already been taken. 11 species voted for quarantine. Only the Etherians abstained. The decision is final. Speaker 9's energy form flickered sadly. We hoped you would choose modification willingly. It would be kinder for your species. Reed straightened his shoulders. I'll deliver your message to Earth's leaders, but I think you're making a mistake about humanity. How so? Quell asked. You assume we'll choose one of your 3 options, Reed said. But humans have a history of finding 4th options when we don't like the first 3. Vorth's yellow eyes narrowed. Captain, you face the combined might of 12 species with thousands of years of technological advancement. What 4th option could humanity possibly have? Red met the alien's gaze without flinching. I guess we'll find out in 30 days. As the human delegation was escorted back to their ship, none of them spoke. The weight of what they had learned pressed down on them like a physical force. The galaxy wasn't welcoming humanity with open arms. It was presenting them with an ultimatum that would end human freedom forever. But as the Defiance pulled away from Haven Prime and jumped to faster than light speed, Red allowed himself a small smile. The Council thought they knew humans. Thought they understood what humanity would do when faced with impossible choices. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The emergency session of the World Defense Council began at dawn in Geneva. President Maria Santos looked around the table at the faces of Earth's most powerful leaders. The room was tense with the weight of humanity's future hanging in the balance. Reed's report is clear, President Santos said, her voice steady, despite the magnitude of the crisis. The Galactic Council has given us 30 days to choose between genetic modification, permanent imprisonment, or extinction. Prime Minister David Chen of the Asian Federation leaned forward. These aliens want to change our DNA to make us less aggressive. They want to turn us into sheep, or cage us forever in our own solar system, added President Kofi Asante of the African Union. Either way, human freedom ends. General William Cross, head of Earth's Space Command, stood up from his chair. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes burned with determination. There is a 4th option. We fight. Several leaders began talking at once, but President Santos raised her hand for silence. General, please explain. Cross activated. The holographic display in the center of the table. The image showed the solar system, but it looked different than the peaceful view most people knew. Red dots marked defensive positions on every planet, moon, and major asteroid. For the past 2 years, since first contact became possible, we've been preparing, Cross said. Project Fortress has turned our entire solar system into the most heavily defended space in the galaxy. Dr. Amy Chen, head of the Mars Research Division, stepped forward. While the diplomatic mission was traveling to Haven Prime, we weren't sitting idle. We've been developing weapon systems based on a simple principle. If the aliens think we're primitive, let's show them how dangerous primitive can be. The holographic display changed, showing technical specifications that made several leaders gasp. Planet crackers, Dr. Chen explained. Kinetic bombardment weapons that accelerate tungsten rods to 10% of light speed. When they hit a target, they release more energy than our largest nuclear weapons. And these Nova bombs? President Santos asked, pointing to another design. Fusion weapons designed to ignite gas giants, Dr. Chen replied calmly. Turn Jupiter into a temporary star, and everything within 50 million kilometers gets sterilized. Room fell silent. President Laurent Dubois of the European Federation spoke first. These weapons violate every treaty on warfare that exists. Earth's treaties General Cross corrected. The Galactic Council made it clear that their laws don't apply to us. We're not members. We're targets. President Santos studied the weapon specifications. How many ships do we have? The public knows about our exploration fleet of 200 vessels, Cross replied. They don't know about the other 8,000 ships we've built in secret. Shipyards throughout the outer system. Defense Minister Yuki Tanaka of Japan looked shocked. 8,000 ships. How did you hide such a massive construction project? The same way we hid Project Fortress, Cross said. By building everything in the dark spaces between worlds, while the galaxy watched our inner planets, we were militarizing the outer system and the Kuiper Belt. Doctor! Chen brought up another display. Our ships are different from anything that Council has seen. They're not elegant or efficient. They're brutal and effective. Redundant systems, thick armor, and weapons designed for one purpose: destroying the enemy completely. Admiral Bethstone, commander of the Outer Fleet, joined the hologram conference from her flagship beyond Pluto. The Council species fight. Wars like games. They try to disable enemy ships, capture crews, minimize casualties. They have rules, honor codes, and limitations. And humans? President Santos asked. We fight wars to win them, Stone replied. When we engage an enemy, we don't try to disable their ship. We try to eliminate their ability to threaten us ever again. General Cross changed the display to show intelligence reports. The Council's technology is advanced, but it's designed for their style of warfare. Energy weapons that disable rather than destroy. Shields that deflect rather than absorb. Their entire military doctrine is based on the idea that warfare should be limited. They've never faced an enemy that treats war as an art form, Admiral Stone added. Every human who's studied military history knows the lesson. If you're going to fight, fight to win completely. President Santos stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Swiss mountains. The moral implications of this choice are staggering. Talking about going to war with an entire galaxy. They declared war on us first, General Cross replied. They offered us slavery, imprisonment, or death. Those aren't the actions of peaceful beings. Those are the actions of conquerors who got comfortable thinking no one would ever fight back. Dr. Chen pulled up one more display. There's something else the Council doesn't understand about humans. They think our aggression is a weakness. But aggression paired with intelligence and technology becomes something else entirely. What? President Santos asked. Determination, Cross answered. When humans decide something needs to be done, we don't accept failure as an option. Council thinks they can intimidate us with superior numbers. They don't realize that humans have spent our entire history being outmatched and finding ways to win anyway. The leaders of Earth spent the next 6 hours reviewing battle plans, resource allocations, and strategic objectives. The scale of preparation was breathtaking. Every major asteroid had been converted into a weapons platform. Every shipyard was working at maximum capacity. Every resource in the solar system had been mobilized for war. Timeline is tight, Admiral Stone reported. But we'll be ready when they arrive. Ready for what, exactly? Asked President Dubois. General Cross smiled grimly. Ready to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's existence. The Council wants to choose our future for us. Instead, we're going to choose theirs. President Santos returned to her seat. I need to address the United Nations. In the world, Humanity deserves to know what we're facing and what we've decided. What have we decided? President Chen asked. Santos looked around the table at Earth's leaders. We've decided that freedom isn't negotiable. If the galaxy wants to take it from us, they'll have to go through the entire human race to do it. The vote was unanimous. 3 hours later, President Santos stood before the United Nations General Assembly and the cameras that would broadcast her words to every corner of Earth. Her speech was simple and direct. Citizens of Earth, today we learned that we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that the galaxy fears us. They've demanded that we change who we are, accept imprisonment, or face extinction. I stand before you today to announce humanity's response. She paused, letting the weight of the moment settle over the assembly. We choose to remain human. We choose to remain free. And if the galaxy wants to take that from us, they will learn what happens when you threaten the wrong species. The applause was thunderous, but Santos wasn't finished. To the Galactic Council I say this: you have 30 days to reconsider your ultimatum. Because in 31 days, you will discover that humans have a fourth option you never considered. We will not submit. We will not surrender. And we will not lose. As the session ended and the world began to mobilize for war, intercepted alien communications confirmed that the Council had received the message. Their response was predictable: confusion, then anger, then determination to carry out their threat. They were coming with everything they had. Humanity was ready. Admiral Krez of the Drakmari fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship Dominant Will, watching the edge of the Sol system grow closer on his tactical display. Behind him stretched the largest battle fleet in galactic history, over 10,000. Warships representing 12 different species, all united in their mission to contain the human threat. Long-range sensors show heavy activity throughout the system, reported his tactical officer. The humans have been busy. Krez studied the readings with growing confusion. Every asteroid, every moon, every planet showed signs of modification. What are they doing out there? Unknown, Admiral. But whatever it is, they've been working on it for months. The Admiral felt a flicker of unease. In 3,000 years of galactic warfare, no species had ever continued military preparations after receiving a Council ultimatum. Most surrendered immediately when faced with the combined might of the galaxy. Communications, send the standard surrender demand, Krez ordered. The message went out on all frequencies, translated into human languages. This is Admiral Krez of the Galactic Council Fleet. You have exceeded your 30-day deadline. Surrender immediately and prepare for Council occupation forces. The response came back within minutes, broadcast from Earth itself. The voice was calm, almost casual. This is General William Cross of Earth Defense Command. Your surrender demand is rejected. You have entered the Sol system without permission. Leave now or face the consequences. Krez's scaled features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. Consequences? They're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Shall the first order the fleet to advance, Admiral? His tactical officer asked. Begin. Standard approach. Deploy energy nets to disable their ships. We'll capture their leaders and end this quickly. The Galactic Fleet moved into the outer system in perfect formation, their energy shields glowing with defensive power. They expected to find a few hundred human ships cowering behind their planets, ready to surrender, when they saw the futility of resistance. Instead, they flew into the most elaborate trap in military history. The first sign of trouble came when the asteroid belt began moving. What the alien sensors had identified as naturally floating space rocks suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, becoming relativistic projectiles aimed directly at the fleet. Evasive maneuvers, Krez shouted, but it was too late. The first kinetic projectile struck the Council Vanguard at 10% of light speed. The Elthan cruiser Crystal Harmony simply ceased to exist, vaporized by the impact. Then another asteroid missile hit, and another. In the space of 30 seconds, the Council lost over 200 ships to what appeared to be flying rocks. Impossible, Krez breathed.
Yes.
Those asteroids were stationary on our sensors. Admiral, we're detecting massive engine signatures throughout the system, his sensor operator reported. with panic in his voice. "They've militarized everything. Every piece of space debris is a potential weapon." The human response was immediate and overwhelming. From hiding places throughout the solar system, defensive platforms revealed themselves. What the aliens had thought were natural moons turned out to be disguised weapon stations. Innocent-looking satellites suddenly deployed massive railguns. But the real shock came when the human fleet decloaked Captain Marcus Reed, now commanding the battleship Retribution, led the first wave of human ships out from behind Jupiter's shadow. The Council had expected a few hundred vessels. Instead, over 5,000 human warships emerged from concealment, their hulls bristling with weapons that looked crude but deadly. "All ships. This is Captain Reed." He broadcast on the human command frequency. "Remember, they came here to destroy us. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The human ships didn't move like anything the Council had ever seen. Instead of the elegant formations and energy-based warfare they expected, the humans attacked like a pack of predators. Their ships were ugly by galactic standards, built for function rather than beauty. But they moved with lethal precision. Colonel Tom Hayes, now commanding the destroyer Vengeance, led a squadron in a maneuver that defied all galactic military doctrine. Instead of trying to disable the enemy ships, he aimed directly for their life support systems and reactor cores. "Target their weak points," Hayes ordered his weapons officer. "We're not here to capture prisoners." The aliens' energy shields, designed to deflect similar energy weapons, proved nearly useless against human kinetic weapons. Railgun slugs punched through shield arrays like they weren't there. Nuclear missiles detonated inside enemy formations, creating electromagnetic pulses that crippled alien systems. Admiral Krez watched in horror as his perfectly organized fleet began to crumble. How are they doing this? Their technology is primitive. "Tactics are completely different from ours," his tactical officer replied, fear creeping into his voice. "They're not trying to disable our ships. They're trying to destroy them completely." The aliens' greatest advantage suddenly became their greatest weakness. Their weapons were designed for the civilized warfare of the Council, where battles were fought with honor and restraint. Human weapons were designed to kill efficiently and completely. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as a tactical advisor aboard the command ship Earth's Defiance, watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and horror. "The alien ships are beautiful," she told Captain Reed over the com. "But beautiful things break easily." "That's the idea," Reed replied, ordering his ship into a ramming attack that would have been suicide in any galactic military manual. The Retribution struck the Drakmari, heavy cruiser scales of justice at half-light speed. The alien ship's energy shields flared and died. The two vessels crashed together in an explosion that lit up space like a small star. But the human ship had been built for such impacts, with redundant systems and armored compartments. It survived the collision. The alien ship did not. "Ramming attacks?" Admiral Krez said in disbelief. "They're using ramming attacks. What kind of species builds ships designed to crash into enemies? The kind that treats war as existential survival?" His intelligence officer replied. The tide of battle turned completely when General Cross activated the second phase of humanity's defense. From the outer darkness beyond Pluto, where no alien sensor had thought to look, Admiral Beth Stone led the emergence of the outer fleet. 8,000 additional human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding the alien fleet from all directions. The Council forces, already reeling from the unexpected ferocity of human tactics, suddenly found themselves outnumbered and outgunned.
"Admiral,"
Stone broadcast to the alien flagship, "This is your only warning. Surrender now, or we will demonstrate why humans are the apex predators of Earth." Krez's response was to order a desperate charge toward Earth, hoping to break through the human lines and complete their original mission. It was the last mistake he would ever make. The human response was swift and final. From hidden positions throughout the solar system, humanity unveiled their ultimate weapon. The first planet cracker fired from a concealed platform near Saturn. The tungsten rod accelerated to relativistic speeds, struck the Council command ship with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The dominant will didn't just explode. It ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. The remaining council ships, leaderless and facing an enemy that fought with terrifying efficiency, began to retreat. But humanity had learned a crucial lesson from their own history. Never let a defeated enemy regroup and return stronger. All ships pursue and destroy, General Cross ordered. They came here to end humanity. We're going to show them what ending actually looks like. For the first time in galactic history, a defensive force pursued fleeing attackers beyond their home system. The human fleet followed the surviving council ships into deep space, hunting them down with systematic precision. The Battle of Sol was over in 7 days. Of the 10,000 ships that had come to destroy humanity, fewer than 1,000 escaped. The galaxy's most powerful military force had been shattered by a species they considered primitive, as Captain Reed stood on the bridge of his battle-damaged ship. Looking out at the wreckage of the alien fleet, he felt no satisfaction, only grim determination. "This isn't over," he told his crew. "They came here to destroy us because they were afraid of what we might become. Now they're going to find out their fears were justified." The galaxy had chosen war. Earth had chosen to win. It completely. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy burned under human advance. What had started as Earth's desperate defense had become something far more terrible. A campaign of systematic conquest that shattered every assumption about warfare. The galaxy had ever held Captain Marcus Reed, now promoted to Admiral, stood on the bridge of his new flagship Earthbreaker as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Keth system. This was the Drakmari homeworld, capital of the species that had led the Council's attack on humanity. Around him, 3,000 human warships materialized from the darkness of space like predators emerging from a hunt. Long-range sensors confirm. 700 Drakmari defense ships in orbit around Keith, reported Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, Reed's tactical officer. They're broadcasting surrender offers on all frequencies. Reed studied the tactical display without emotion. Drakmari had learned what happened to species that fought humans in open battle. Their massive fleet at Sol had been destroyed so completely that survivors spoke of human ships that seemed to absorb damage and keep fighting. Of weapons that turned energy shields into useless decorations. "Are they offering unconditional surrender?" Reed asked. "No, sir. They want to negotiate terms. They're offering technological exchanges, territorial concessions, tribute payments." "Then they haven't learned the lesson yet," Reed replied coldly. "Open a channel to the Drakmari command." The main screen flickered to life, showing Chancellor Vorth in what appeared to be a military command center. The proud reptilian leader, who had delivered humanity's ultimatum, now looked desperate and defeated. "Admiral Reed," Vorth said, his voice carrying none of its former authority, "we offer honorable surrender. The Drakmari people have learned to respect human strength. We seek coexistence." Reed's expression didn't change. "Chancellor, 6 months ago, you offered humanity 3 choices: genetic modification, imprisonment, or extinction. You chose extinction for us. Now we're here to discuss your 3 choices." Vorth's scaled features showed confusion. "What choices?" "Complete disarmament and servitude to humanity, permanent quarantine to your homeworld. Or the same extinction you planned for us," Reed said matter-of-factly. "You have 1 hour to decide." The channel closed before Vorth could respond. Around the Earthbreaker, the human fleet began deploying into attack formation. But this wasn't the same formation they had used at Sol. Human military doctrine had evolved during 6 months of constant warfare, becoming something that terrified even their own soldiers. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as Admiral Reed's xenobiological warfare specialist, reviewed her latest research on her tablet. The transformation from peaceful scientist to military advisor still shocked her. But the galaxy's attempt to destroy humanity had changed everyone. The Drakmari have the same weakness as most reptilian species, she reported to Reed. Their nervous systems can't handle rapid temperature fluctuations. Thermal weapons will be more effective than kinetic bombardment. Reed nodded. Dr. Park's expertise in alien biology had become humanity's most effective weapon. While the galaxy fought with energy beams and particle shields, humans fought with diseases tailored to specific species, environmental weapons that exploited evolutionary weaknesses, and psychological warfare that turned alien instincts against them. "Admiral, we're receiving a response from the Drakmari government," Lieutenant Commander Mitchell reported. "Put it through." This time it wasn't Chancellor Vorth on the screen, but a younger Drakmari female with golden scales and intelligent eyes. "Admiral Reed, I am General Sesk, military commander of Keth's defenses. Chancellor Vorth has been removed from power. The Drakmari Republic formally surrenders and accepts human authority." Reed studied the alien general carefully. "Complete surrender?" "No conditions?" "None," Sask replied. "We have monitored what happened to the Althun when they tried to negotiate terms. We have no desire to share their fate." The reference made several human officers look uncomfortable. The crystal-based Althun had attempted to bargain with humanity, offering their advanced shield technology in exchange for limited autonomy. Humanity's response had been the deployment of sonic weapons that shattered their silicon-based biology like glass. The Althun homeworld was now a graveyard of crystal fragments. "General Sask, your surrender is accepted," Reed announced. "Human occupation forces will arrive within the week. All Drakmari military assets will be transferred to human control. Your species will be relocated to designated worlds under human supervision. And if we comply completely," Sask asked. "Then you'll survive," Reed replied, simply. As the transmission ended, Reed felt the weight of what humanity had become. The species that had once explored space seeking knowledge and friendship now ruled through fear and overwhelming force. But the galaxy had made its choice when it voted for human extinction. Colonel Tom Hayes, commanding the assault carrier Retribution, led the next phase of the campaign. His target was the pelagic homeworld of Aquatica, an ocean planet where the amphibious aliens had retreated to their underwater cities. Believing the depths would protect them from human weapons, they were wrong. "Deploy the thermal lances," Hayes ordered as his fleet entered orbit. "Target the ocean thermal layers. We're going to boil their seas." The weapons were Dr. Park's design based on her study of pelagic biology. The aliens required specific water temperatures to survive. By using focused solar collectors to superheat their oceans, humanity could make their entire planet uninhabitable without firing a single conventional weapon. The pelagic surrender came within hours as their ocean cities became death traps of superheated water. Like the Drakmari, they chose servitude over extinction. But the most shocking transformation in human warfare came with the campaign against the energy-based Etherians. These beings had remained neutral during the Council's ultimatum, neither supporting nor opposing humanity's destruction. For this crime of inaction, they would pay the same price as active enemies. General William Cross personally commanded the assault on the Etherian home dimension. The aliens existed as pure energy contained in specialized fields, believing themselves immune to physical weapons. They had never encountered an enemy capable of disrupting the fundamental forces that held their beings together. "Deploy the quantum disruptors," Cross ordered from his command ship. "Show them what happens to species that stand aside while others plot humanity's extinction." The weapons tore holes in reality itself, scattering the Etherian consciousness. Across dimensions, their beautiful energy forms dissipated like smoke in a hurricane. Within days, a species that had existed for millions of years was reduced to scattered fragments of consciousness. Begging for mercy that would never come, Admiral Beth Stone, commanding the deep space hunter-killer fleets, pursued the remnants of Council forces across the galaxy. Her ships had been specially modified for extended operations far from Earth, carrying enough supplies and ammunition to hunt fleeing aliens for years if necessary. "We've located another group of survivors." In the Outer Rim, Stone reported during a holographic conference with Earth Command, 300 mixed ships from various Council species trying to establish a new government in exile. "Eliminate them," came the reply from General Cross. No council species gets to rebuild. No survivors get to plan revenge. This ends completely, or it doesn't end at all. Stone's fleet caught the refugee ships attempting to colonize an uninhabited system. The battle was brief and one-sided. The aliens, demoralized by months of constant defeat, barely fought back. They had learned that human mercy was reserved only for those who surrendered immediately and completely, as reports of victory after victory reached Earth. The transformation of human society became clear. The species that had once dreamed of joining a galactic community now ruled that community through absolute force. Earth cities celebrated each conquered world, each defeated alien fleet, each species that chose servitude over extinction. President Maria Santos, addressing the United Nations after the fall of the 10th Council World, spoke words that would have horrified humanity just 1 year earlier. The galaxy chose to see us as monsters, she declared to thunderous applause, so we became the monsters they feared. And now they will serve the monsters they created, or they will join the monsters they've already lost. The age of human expansion had begun, built on the simple principle that had guided humanity since the first caveman picked up a rock to defend his family. If you threaten what we love, you will destroy everything you are. The galaxy was learning this lesson one conquered world at a time. 1 year after the Battle of Sol, Admiral Marcus Reed stood in the ruins of Haven Prime, the former seat of galactic government. The massive space station that had once housed the Galactic Council now served as the headquarters of human administration for the conquered galaxy. Around him, alien technicians worked under human supervision to restore systems damaged during the station's capture. The transformation was complete. What had begun as humanity's desperate fight for survival had become the total restructuring of galactic civilization under human rule. Every council species had either surrendered or been destroyed. The galaxy that had once feared human aggression now lived under it. "Admiral, we have the final casualty reports from the Zephyrian campaign," reported Colonel Hayes, now serving as Reed's chief of staff. The aquatic Zephyrians had been the last species to resist, hiding in the deep ocean trenches of their water. "Worlds. How many survivors?" Reed asked, reviewing tactical displays that showed human fleets patrolling former Council territories. "Approximately 2 million out of a pre-war population of 8 billion, Hayes replied without emotion. "They chose to fight to the end rather than surrender." Reed nodded. The Zephyrians had been warned like all the others. Humanity's terms were simple. Complete surrender meant survival under human rule. Resistance meant extinction. Had learned that humans didn't make empty threats. Dr. Lisa Park entered the command center carrying a data tablet containing her latest research. Her role as humanity's chief xenobiologist had evolved into something darker. Architect of species-specific weapons and expert in alien psychology, the cheerful scientist who had marveled at alien beauty was gone, replaced by someone who understood. That knowledge could be the deadliest weapon of all. "The genetic modifications to the Drakmari labor force are complete," she reported. "We've enhanced their physical strength while reducing their cognitive aggression. They'll be excellent workers for the deep space mining operations." "And the Althan crystal harvesting?" Reed asked. "The survivors have been modified to regrow their crystal formations faster. We can extract their silicon compounds without killing them, though the process is extremely painful." Park's voice showed no emotion as she described what would have been considered torture just 2 years earlier. Reed reviewed the reports of humanity's new galactic empire. 12 species had been reduced to servitude, their homeworlds converted into resource extraction centers for human expansion. Galaxy's advanced technology had been claimed by human engineers, who improved upon alien designs with typical human efficiency. "Sir, we have an incoming message from Earth," announced Lieutenant Commander Mitchell. "It's President Santos." The holographic display activated, showing Earth's leader addressing Reed from the Oval Office. Behind her, through the window, construction cranes worked on building the new Department of Galactic Affairs. "Admiral Reed, congratulations on the successful completion of the Zephyrian operation," Santos said. "Earth's population has approved the next phase of expansion. The Senate has authorized colonization of 50 new star systems using alien labor forces. Reed felt a moment of unease. The speed of humanity's transformation still surprised him. Sometimes. Madam President, some of the subject species are requesting limited autonomy in their home systems. Perhaps we could consider... Santos interrupted him with a cold smile. Admiral, these species voted for our extinction. They chose to see us as a threat that needed to be eliminated. We're simply fulfilling their expectations completely. The transmission ended, leaving Reed alone with his thoughts. Around him, the former council chambers had been converted into human administrative offices. Alien artwork had been replaced with portraits of human military leaders. The diverse architecture that had celebrated galactic unity was being systematically redesigned to reflect human aesthetics. General Cross arrived from Earth aboard his new flagship Galactic Dominion, a massive vessel built using technology taken from all 12 conquered species. The ship was a symbol of human victory. Beautiful alien designs corrupted into instruments of human power. The final phase begins today, Cross announced to the assembled human command staff. We're implementing the Diaspora Protocol. The Diaspora Protocol was humanity's ultimate solution to the alien problem. Rather than maintain the conquered species on their homeworlds where they might eventually rebel, they would be scattered across the galaxy as labor forces for human expansion. Families would be separated, cultures would be broken, and resistance would become impossible. The Drakmari will be sent to the mining worlds in the Outer Rim, Cross explained. The aquatic species will maintain our underwater facilities. The energy-based survivors will power our deep space communications networks. Dr. Park nodded approvingly. Psychological analysis shows that separated from their cultural groups, the alien species will focus on individual survival rather than coordinated resistance. Within a generation, they'll identify more with their human overseers than their own species. Reed listened to the planning with growing discomfort. The practical part of his mind understood the logic. Scattered alien populations couldn't organize rebellions. But the part of him that remembered humanity's original dream of joining a galactic community felt sick. What about the Etherian survivors? He asked. The few consciousness fragments we managed to contain will be used as living computers, Cross replied. Their energy-based intelligence makes them perfect for managing complex calculations. They'll spend eternity solving equations for human science projects. As the meeting concluded, Reed walked to the observation deck that had once allowed council members to look out at the stars and dream of peaceful exploration. Now, it offered a view of human construction ships converting alien habitats into industrial. Complex's Captain Sarah Mitchell joined him at the viewing port. She had been promoted to command her own ship, the Conquest, but had requested to return to Reed's staff for the final planning sessions. Do you ever wonder what we've become? She asked quietly, watching human work crews directing alien laborers. In the construction of a new space dock, Reed considered the question carefully. We became what we had to become to survive. The galaxy gave us 3 choices. Change what made us human, accept imprisonment, or face extinction. We found a 4th choice, and that choice was to make sure no one could ever threaten humanity again. Reed's reflection in the window showed a man who looked decades older than his actual age. We didn't just win the war, Sarah. We won it. So completely that the concept of resistance has been eliminated. Through the communication system, they could hear the daily broadcasts to the subject populations. The messages were simple and direct. Work hard, obey human authority, and you will be fed and sheltered. Resist or rebel, and your entire species will join the ones that had already been eliminated. The effectiveness of the system was undeniable. Production quotas were exceeded on every world. Alien technological research proceeded under human direction at unprecedented speeds. The galaxy's resources flowed toward Earth and human colonies, supporting an expansion that would have taken centuries without forced alien labor. Reed's personal communicator chimed with an incoming message from Admiral Stone, who commanded the Border Patrol fleets watching for any signs of alien organization. Admiral, we've detected signals from beyond the galactic rim, Stone reported. It appears there are other galactic communities out there. They may have heard about what happened here. Reed felt a familiar sensation, the cold calculation that had replaced human empathy during the war years. Do they pose a threat to human interests? Unknown at this time. The signals suggest they're attempting to establish communication with any survivors of the Council species. Then we know what needs to be done, Reed replied. If there are other galaxies out there, they need to learn the same lesson this one did. Threatening humanity has consequences. As Reed ended the communication, he realized the final truth about what the galaxy had created when it chose war with Earth. Humanity hadn't just become galactic conquerors. It'd become something that would spread across the universe, carrying the lesson that survival required absolute victory. The species that had once dreamed of exploring the stars in peace now ruled them through fear. The galaxy had chosen war, thinking they could eliminate a dangerous species before it became unstoppable. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most, a human empire that would expand beyond their galaxy, carrying the simple message that had guided humanity since their first day among the stars. When you threaten what humans love, they don't just defeat you, they make sure you can never threaten anyone again. The age of human hegemony had begun, and it would never end.